Vanguard rides again. So it's been a pretty hectic week for me. But something caught my eye, something caught my attention that had something to do with a topic I've wanted to talk about for a long time. That I've kind of spoke about in my personal life, but never here with my adoring public. um, so recently, you've probably seen it. Jordan Peterson kind of let's just say went viral for crying on I believe it was Piers Morgan's show. I believe it was. And he was ridiculed for it. He was made fun of for crying because he's supposed to be a they were they were kind of arguing against a straw man, like, oh, he's supposed to be a strong tough man, but he's crying. Nothing. Jordan Peterson has never said anything about being a strong tough man or anything. Like, even if you read his stuff, it kind of says the opposite. It's like how to not be an asshole. But whatever. And just kind of a lot of people have been speaking about how you know well, they talk about women, but I feel like it's a larger thing. They, as in the establishment, people, blah blah blah, they say that men should be more open and express their emotions more often and all that jazz, right? But when you do it, you find out very quickly that they don't care about your male tears. Especially your white male tears, they really don't care about those. But the thing is, it's like I experienced this the hard way in person. That's when I first realized this, let's call it codified truth. Truth to that. I had a little bit of a tongue twister there. This truth, this definite truth of life that when you are of a certain sex, when you're a male, people don't give a rat's ass about your tears or how you feel, that kind of stuff. They kind of pretend they do, and they kind of make it seem like you should be more open, but they're just saying that just to say it. It's like when someone walks up to you and like, I don't know. It's like small talk, right? People have small talk, but they often don't want to have actual conversations. If you start going beyond the acceptable parameters of small talk, the person will get annoyed. It's just like that with your emotions and your tears. They say you should express them because, in theory, it sounds like a great idea, but they actually don't want to hear it. They would rather not. They're going to close their ears if you start doing so. And the way I realized this and experienced it was because when I began my self improvement journey, my self improvement journey, it began, like with many people, from an experience of intense emotional pain. Several experiences, actually, for me. Just several experiences relating to relationships and family life and that kind of thing. And, my relationship with my dad, all that kind of stuff. It kind of led to this explosion of emotion. And I was not very good at processing emotion back then. I was a kid. Most kids aren't. So I didn't know how to process this strong feeling. And the only way I knew how to express it was through anger. So that is what I did. I was a very angry and rageful kid um, because of all this intense emotional suffering going on inside. So that's how I began my self improvement journey. But the reason I mention this is because during that period, I did sort of decide to start being more vulnerable and start trying to share my feelings more often. And I quickly learned nobody cared. like, it's like I mean, there was some pretty crazy shit that happened to me back then. Like, I remember one of the first times I was truly vulnerable was my mother, and this is nothing against my mom. Our relationship is much better now, and she herself did not know how to. She herself was not very good at expressing her emotions. So, you know, I don't blame her for this. I've already forgiven everybody that I'm gonna mention, really. So, I told her I was very vulnerable with her, and she didn't. She told my sister at the time, and then my sister brought it up again and kind of made fun of me, and then it kind of That experience, like me being very vulnerable in that moment and being ridiculed for it, really hurt. And I was like, okay, I'm never doing that shit again. I never told my mom like anything again for a long time. I was very like stoic and kept it inside. And then I quickly found out in relationships that like even though they would tell me to be vulnerable, the girls I was dating, because again, I was a very stoic guy. I did not know how to process or express my emotions. When I would express this sharp and massive pain, they were just indifferent. They just did not give a fuck. And sometimes they'd even jam it in there even worse, like trying to throw salt on the wound. And I was like, holy shit, wow. And it's like, for a while, you start to think to yourself, wow, people are fucking evil, and if you're in that sort of like sneako phase, you get nothing against sneako. But you're in like this, you're kind of like, oh, women suck, they're fucking monsters, they have no emotion. But then you just start to realize that like, the way society works is we are taught almost like subconsciously, it's like embedded within our culture that men are meant to shoulder burdens and they're meant to be strong in the face of adversity. This is just how it works. Like even I look back to moments where my mom would be losing her shit, like crying, that kind of stuff. And it was me who would try to snap her out of it. I would have to become like this stoic man and standing like Nietzsche's Übermensch to try and like pull her from the rubble. And to this day, I still do that, And it's just like people are not used to men being vulnerable. So when you share your vulnerabilities and your emotions, and people don't know what to, they really don't know what to do. They don't know how to respond. Because even in the case of many women, they don't even understand like many women go through life thinking men just don't experience pain or emotions. Men are these emotionless bastards. This is what they think. But so yeah, they themselves don't know how to process your emotions. Heck, they barely know how to process their own. So it's like they don't know what to do when you kind of vent and let all that shit out. Your friends, if they do care, well, your friends might not care. That's the first thing, right? They got their own problems to worry about, right? And even if they do care, they might not understand, right? So like they care, but they don't know what to say or how to help you. So you got that part. But then there's also, if they do care, they do understand, there's also the element that you won't want their help. Because if they really care, they're going to offer some like radical solutions, or what might seem radical to you but might actually really help you. But you are going to curl up into your little fetal position ball and you're like, holy shit, I just wanted you to listen, I didn't want you to. So you yourself don't even know like how this is supposed to work, and it's like a two-way street, right? So like your best option really, would be, I guess, therapy. I didn't do therapy. I went the other route. I did a lot of things and kind of helped resolve a lot of pain and anger at the world that I used to have, right? But it's like the other solution, I think, and this is why I do this a lot, is I just feel like that feeling of camaraderie needs to be more exemplified among us in society. Like if men communicated with each other more and supported each other more often in the way many women do, then men would probably have a lot of the emotional turmoil that many men feel would fade away and disappear. That sense of camaraderie can really make you feel powerful, And that's why whenever I'm hanging out with my friends, we kind of do that. Like we'll be out at nightclubs, and we'll talk to girls too, of course. But we'll talk to like a bunch of dudes. Like I'll see some dude standing alone by himself, and I walk up to him and talk to him, just try to get him alive, try to wake him up. And they're always so happy because it's like, I guess they're just so used to being like, a lot of them are used to being ignored. Like these guys will come out and their whole purpose, I guess, is to pick up women. And they'll come out dressed to the T. They all the red pill shit told them if you dress nice and you got your perfume on, you got your chain around your neck, girls are gonna notice you. They're gonna choose you. And then they're sitting there in a corner and nobody gives a fuck. Because they're just leaning against the wall. They've never really expressed themselves. They don't know how to have fun. They're just sitting there like, shit, why the fuck am I here? So very often I'll walk up to them, try to get them alive, be like, hey man, get on the dance floor, dance, enjoy yourself. That's the first step, right? But yeah, that's really all I had to say on the matter. I'm sorry for rambling and ranting around, but basically, they don't care about your male tears. They probably never will. You have to accept the responsibility for your own emotions and your own pain, and you have to do the work to resolve it on your own. I mean, there are people who will help you, but you have to find those people. You have to actually put in the work of trying to find them and put in the work of actually working with them. And that is the best way to deal with your tears. Because as you saw with Jordan Peterson, they don't care. Anyways, Vanguard out.